Thanks to LL Bean for presenting today's storybook with limited commercial interruption.
My dad and I were best friends. We did everything together. I was the younger kid, so I was always having to be babysat. So I would go everywhere with him. And we just kind of created this bond, and I always had a lot of interest in the cows. He very much cared. He always used to ask, "Are you paying attention? Because someday I won't be here." And I appreciate that so much, because otherwise, no, I probably wouldn't have been paying attention. I remember little things of like when he would say that, trying to teach me how to shift a tractor. Like, oh, it's got some special way to do it. Otherwise, I would not have a clue on how to do that. And way too soon. But I'm glad he taught me those lessons for sure. My dad loved farming so much. He never had a job to collect retirement, so he wanted to have apartment buildings. We had a tenant break into the home and murder my parents. Me and my boyfriend were home at the same time, and unfortunately, my parents did not make it. They saved our lives, but it was an awful tragedy. But I was left a beautiful place, and the memories make everything worth it. Hi, I'm Shelby Varney. I am 20 years old, and I'm starting to run this business with just my boyfriend and the help with his parents. In 1960, the farm was bought by my great-grandparents, Sherman and Shirley Varney. They squished it together and created Shermirley Farms. My dad then bought the farm from them when he was 18, and they continued to dairy farm up until 2004 when my great-grandpa Sherman passed away. My dad then started a beef cattle farm, and it has been a beef farm ever since. I started helping my dad when I was probably 8 with the cows, and then I inherited it when they passed away when I was 19. It is like an honor to inherit a farm when it's passed on to a generation. It's just so important to keep the farm going. Every morning I look forward to waking up. I mean, I love what I do, so I get up roughly around 5 o'clock, and I generally start by feeding my dogs and cats and my bottled piglet. Then I will come out and I'll spend time with each group of animal. I generally give them 15-20 minutes of saying hello to everyone, making sure everyone is healthy and happy. And then depending on if Caldwell's needs help, I'll go and butcher there. I've been working at Caldwell's for roughly 4 years now. I originally started as a packager. Ras Caldwell, the owner of Caldwell Farms, would be considered my great-great uncle. Dee Dee, who is in control of the meat sales and the butcher portion of it, is kind of like my second mom. My dad and her are 6 months apart, and they did everything growing up together. So she was like my mentor with growing up with cows and doctoring on cows, and she is kind of the person that made me want to just take care of animals. I grow 20 calves, roughly 20 calves a year to sell to Caldwell Farms, and then they will raise them up until they're 2. I had 20 moms to have babies this year, and the 19th was born yesterday. It was a little heifer calf out of a mom. It was her first baby. It's been a great calving season so far in terms of like consistency of having babies, but with how long the spring has kind of dragged out, if you don't have like a cement pad or really dry pastures, is naval infections. If you have a wet pasture, it took forever to try to get our pastures to dry out, so I was constantly having to lock moms and new babies in the barn till the calves were like strong enough to be able to go out because the pastures were wet. Pigs are a little unpredictable. They're not like cows. Cows, you can always kind of expect that they're gonna be nasty. They love me. I could go in there calmly and grab whatever piglet I wanted, but anytime someone mom is not familiar with, she gets pretty nasty. I do sell to restaurants. I always have sausage available, wholes, halves, and quarters of pigs, along with individual cuts. I have this whole kind of motto of my farm is trying to like use your resources. While I'm butchering at Caldwell's, I save all my fat and I bring it home and I render it down and make tallow and make soaps, and my candles are mostly soy wax based, but I do include some of the tallow in it in just a sense of trying to use your resources and not have to throw away so much waste and create a high quality product. My mother was in the process of completely redoing a kitchen remodel, and we had done the full demo, and the carpenter was supposed to start the next Monday, and they passed away on a Friday. And the whole community, like the hardware store, donated metal roofing to me, and so many people have just donated different things to help. And what I actually ended up doing is I turned my mom's kitchen that she wanted to redo the remodel to fit the criteria of a licensed kitchen. We started a garden this year, and it's way bigger than anything I've ever done before, but I mean, why not? I enjoy it. And then my hopes is eventually I will be able to can vegetables and do all the proper licensing to sell them. Ever since I was little, I loved flowers, I loved vegetable gardens, all of that stuff. And then that led me to think of the farm store idea. This is a farm store that my boyfriend and his father are building for me. I am absolutely obsessed with it and I'm wicked excited. Some of the lumber on the floor is actually lumber that my dad had sawed and we had stickered for it to be drying for a couple years now, but everything else, all the beams, the outside boards, that's all stuff that Christian and Jason have sawed out on the sawmill so far. Since COVID has hit, people want to buy local. People are more interested in where their food comes from, how their food is raised, what are they fed, all of that stuff. I plan to do pickups for different orders. I'll box it up and have everything ready to go, but as far as an actual open storefront, we're pushing to move things along as fast as possible, and hopefully by midway through summer I will be able to have customers come into the store. Be exciting. Anyone can follow along on the progress on my Facebook page, the Shermirley Farm Facebook page. All sorts of pictures of my process making soaps and candles and how my animals are growing, and I just like to update everyone on how plans are moving along. My dad always said to me, he loves it so much here, he wanted to create a way that he could make money enough on the farm that he would never have to leave. And that, to me, was very important, and I wanted to try to create a way to do that. When they first passed away, it was like, ooh, that's a lot of responsibility for a 20-year-old. But what my father did farming and what I have tried to create is I just love it so much. I just keep bringing in more animals, and it's like, it doesn't even matter because I love it so much. My dad made it so enjoyable that it makes it worth it, and I never want to stop.